Today's guest is a total force in the world of music and media. He's the founder of Sync Summit, a global event that brings together the best in music, film, TV, and tech to make magic happen. With decades of experience in licensing, branding, and creative partnerships, he's helped shape how music connects to everything we see and feel. I'm thrilled to welcome the one and only Mark Freezer to the show. Yay! Welcome, Mark, to the show. And the floor is going to be yours, but we've got a bunch of questions for you today and special things that you want to talk about. Real quickly, I will just say mutual friend of ours, Tom Callahan, has been talking about Mark for years and just everything that he does, what he excels at, what his talents are, his wisdom. He is huge in just music, sync, publishology, everything. We're going to let you tell just everyday peeps what you do. And I expect that all of the artists that listen also will learn some really great golden nuggets today from you, Mark. Welcome to the show.
Excellent. Well, Goldy, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me on. This is really an honor and it's a treat to share the virtual stage with you here. And I'm looking forward to sharing a little bit of what we do and also getting into some conversation about how this business works. So thank you for having me here.
I love that. Will you explain to people, because we've got Sync Summit and then we've got all the stuff that you've done before that. I don't know what you want to talk about. If you want to talk about your history, what moved you to get into all of this, describe a little bit, more than a little bit, but break it down for everybody, not just the artists that are listening and watching, but people that are just driving to work today. And I know that your experience with all of this has something to offer everyone on inspiration or being tenacious and just keep on going for things, because this is not an easy business. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about things. You know, we want to hear from you, like, what's the biggest mistake that artists make or that producers make or people in general make. But keep in mind, we've got a lot of people that we want to keep listening today, Mark, that might not know about your business. So in layperson's terms, let's talk about what you do to build a nice foundation to explain things. And then we'll get into what's on the ticker on the bottom and your membership and all that good stuff. So just in simple terms, what do you do?
Okay. What I do very simply is, if you see music in a TV show, in a streaming show, in a film, in an ad, if you see music or a musician as part of a marketing campaign, we're the company, we're the people that make the decisions and do the deals to put that music into that programming, that concert, that marketing. Simple as that, because everybody is affected by music. And music, when it's combined with something visual or something interactive, like a video game or a trailer or a concert. I hate using the word activation, but basically marketing at a concert. There's always music as one of the most important elements. So what we do is we help musicians to connect to the other side, the side that uses their music, the side that licenses their music, the side that asks them to create music for our projects. That's the really top line thing of what we do. So inside of all of that, there's a lot of details, as you can imagine. So basically, what we do as a company is three major things. The one thing that we do that we're known for is that we have a educational platform and networking platform called Sync Summit. The information about it is at the link at the bottom of the screen, syncsummit.com.
Perfect.
And we've been doing this for about 10 years. And the mission that I've had with what we do at Sync Summit is to give anybody who creates music or owns music, whether you're an artist, a producer, a label executive, a publisher, or manager, whoever you are, give you the resources and the tools you need and the information that you need to do well in our industry. Because when people look at music for media, they think, hey, I could have my music in there, or hey, I could be a music supervisor, which is the person who manages the music for projects. But the reality is that this is a business that has different layers of competencies. Creating music or programming music or knowing that you have good musical taste is only one part of it. The other important things to consider are the fact that this is a business. So it's based on negotiation, it's based on paperwork, it's based on knowing who owns what. And it's also based on connected music to the right people, to the right decision makers. So there's elements of marketing, there's elements of intellectual property, and basically ownership. And you need to know all of these things in order to be successful in our business, because we won't use music or we won't work with someone who creates music unless we are able to do business with them and know who owns what.
Okay.
So, what we try to do with Sing Summit is we try to teach people what these fundamentals are. And we do that through courses that we have. We do it through listening sessions and discussions with other decision makers across the industry. And in addition to that, we help people take this knowledge and make it real, basically to connect to decision makers. So our event help people to meet music supervisors, to meet people who are brand managers in charge of marketing at brands, who are in charge of creative direction at agencies, the people who are actually signing the checks. And by giving you the knowledge that you need of how the industry works from a business perspective and combining it with giving you access to connecting to people in the industry on a real basis, um, we hope that we give musicians and the people that work with music an edge so that they're, they have a foundation that they can then use as a platform to connect their music to the right people and be seen as professionals. That's really important. So that's one thing we do. The other two will take less time to explain. The other thing that we do is we work as what's called a sync agency. And what sync agencies do is, if you've seen a show like Entourage, basically we're agents, but we're not as angry or as mean as the character Ari, hopefully. But basically, we're most of us are nice people. But basically, what we do is we work with artists and labels and publishers as their representative to the decision makers in the industry. So what that means is that we'll sign an agreement with an artist or with a label or a publisher, and we'll agree to represent their music to our industry. And then we will promote that music and promote that artist to the decision makers in our industry. And if those decision makers decide that this music is right for their project, and there's a potential deal, then we will go back and we will talk to our clients, the artists or the labels or the publishers, tell them what the deal is, and then we will do the negotiation. We'll do the paperwork. We'll collect the money. We'll take a percentage of that money, which is how we work as agents, and then we send the remainder of that money to our clients. And that's what a sync agent does. So that's another thing that I do.
I,
Yeah, and then
I want to interject whenever you get a second. Give me your next point, and then I want to say something. Go.
okay, so the next thing that I do is I work as a music supervisor. And a music supervisor is someone who's in charge of the musical direction, the paperwork, the negotiations, basically the musical director of a project. And that project can be an ad, or it can be a film, or it can be a TV show, or it can be a trailer, whatever it is. There is most of the time a music supervisor involved, either working with that production exclusively or working with a variety of different productions. In addition to that, as part of music supervision, I also work on thinking around strategic and sonic branding and advertising. And this is an area that I love to think about and love to work in. I've won a Clio in it, which is in the advertising industry, kind of like a Grammy. So I'm pretty good at that. And what I try to do across all of these lines is to work with musicians and the people that own music to treat them fairly, to be upfront with them on how the business works, to give them the tools that they need to understand the business, and to do everything that I can to help them to understand how they can make connections and hopefully succeed based on the music. Okay, that was a long explanation, Goldy. I'm sorry, but I just wanted to get all that out
Oh,
there.
there's no sorry needed. My gosh, we appreciate you explaining all of that. I just keep hearing you say business. You keep saying business. And I think that a lot of artists and a lot of people in the world, because there's going to be people listening to this, Mark, that are exactly what you said. You hit it a little while ago. Like they're basically armchair producers. And I'm sure they think, hey, that song should have been in that movie, or this should have been, they should have used this for that campaign. And what I don't think people understand is what they should, because anybody driving down the road, we got a lot of truck drivers listening today. We've got a lot of really interesting people with very eclectic jobs. Is when you say business, I automatically hear politics. And when I hear politics, I hear relationships. And it doesn't matter, Golden Peeps, what business that you are in. And some of you need to hear this message and heed my words. You have to remember just the beauty and the importance of a relationship. I have never gotten anything in my life that people know me for, or I'm quasi famous in a lane, without some solid relationship that has been built upon time, delivery, and trust. And I'm hearing that a lot of the things that you're teaching people at your Sync Summit, I mean, no offense, Mark, but I'm sure a lot of it's common sense, some of it. And what I mean by common sense is, I can't tell you how many people that I've talked to in your industry, in your lane, in your space, who are like, it's all about the organization and what we call the splits and the split sheet. And knowing what organization your publishing is attached to. Are you a BMI? Are you an ASCAP? Are you a CSAC? Like, some people don't even know their affiliation. Some people don't know the writers that are on the songs that they're writing to or receiving or getting. Some producers that give me stuff won't tell me who is on it. We don't know the percentage of who gets what and this and that. And this is something, whatever business that you're in and whatever job that you have, don't be afraid when you can. Well, you shouldn't anyway, to ask questions, even if you seem annoying or nosy or pushy. In the long run, to cover your own ass, you need to ask questions so that you've got these answers. That what you were saying is like, there's just so many people I talk to, Mark, they don't know. They're from their head. They don't know what's going on. They have no answers, and it's just an unorganized mess. And a lot of artists think that, well, I don't do that. I just write this, or this is what I do. No, if you want to be an artist these days and actually do anything of noteworthiness and make some money, like, you have to be organized. Talk to us about the importance of organization across the board, because again, tons of people listening that aren't in our industry, but I know they understand and value being organized. Let's talk about that.
Okay, well, that's fair. And I think that being organized and doing what I call the back office work is really key.
And I didn't mean some of the things at your Sync Summit are like, I mean, some of it is just like, you should know this stuff and you don't. Of course, you're going to get all kinds of amazing stuff. Don't take me wrong on that. I didn't mean to come across the wrong way.
No, not at all. Not at all. I didn't take it as being anything but, a question. So,
okay.
At the end of the day, our business is built on it's like a three-legged stool. This is the way that I think about it. One is the quality of your music. The other is the professionalism of your data and information and how you present yourself. So sort of, I would say, like, technical. I would call that more technical. And then the third thing is, how do you interact with people? You have to have all three of those at the right level in order to position yourself for success. Now, in terms of the quality of the music, I can't speak to that. You have to do your work to mix and master and be the best artist that you can be if you're an artist. Mm-hmm. And if you're a publisher or a label, you should know exactly what you need to do in terms of your A&R. So I'm not going to get into that part. Okay. But where I can be helpful is to say, Okay, so what does your metadata look like, first of all? And what I mean by that when I say metadata is that metadata means what's the data around your music. You need to have good metadata. You need to have good information so that when you send it to someone like me, I'm able to know the basics about your music. And that means not just the title, but who are the writers? Who are the publishers? Whether you're self-published or you have a company like BMG or Universal publishing you, it doesn't matter. I need to know who the publishers are. Then I need to know where your royalties go. And when I say where your royalties go, I mean who's your performance rights organization, your PRO. In the US, that's the big three are BMI, ASCAP, and CSAC. There's also two others that have a small position in the industry, but those are the big three. If you're outside of the US, you have people like SOCAN in Canada. You have people like, you have organizations like JazzRack in Japan, et cetera, et cetera. Every artist is associated with a PRO, usually from their own country. So we need to know who that is, because if we don't know who that is, we can't pay you royalties. Very important. Then we need to know your contact information. And you'd be surprised how much I get music from people, and there's no contact information. There's no phone number.
What?
There's no email. Yeah.
How do you get the stuff then? Is it just come in the mail, or what's happening?
No. What happens sometimes is that people will send it to us, and then we'll get a link, or we'll get it sent to us as an MP3, which is totally unprofessional, but we'll get it sent to us as a link. And then we'll take that music and we won't immediately listen to it. We'll probably take that music, put it in a file, either on the cloud or on our computer, and then we may reference it 6 months later. So when we reference it, we're not going to be digging through old emails trying to play detective. We might even have deleted those emails. I'm just telling you how it really works.
Wow.
So we need to have inside of the MP3's metadata your contact information. That's really important. Another thing is we need to know from you a little bit about what the music sounds like. And why I'm saying that is that when we search for music, whether it's on the cloud or whether it's on our computer, we're going to look for it based on keywords. So things like, what is the BPM? We need to know that. We need to know what is the genre of the music. And you can basically figure out what your genre is. Also, we need to have descriptive tags. Is it an instrumental? Is it a female singer or a male singer? Are there any subgenres? What's the tempo of the music? Are there any instruments that we should know about? Who does it sound like? And most important, what does it feel like? Because a lot of our searches are based on feeling. What we're trying to get is we're trying to get music that's going to help us tell a story better, or it's going to help us to sell a product better on the ad and brand side. And we're looking for certain kinds of things from a lyrical point of view, or from a sound point of view, or a structural point of view. So that needs to be in your metadata. And we have on our website, you can look it up on the blog portion. There's an absolutely free metadata style guide that you can download, and you'll get all of this information and so much more. And you'll learn how to do this. You can do it for free if you won't take the effort to use that guide, and pull together your metadata and make it professional. That's super important. And I'll tell you why it's super important, Goldy, because I'm telling you this, and this is real like life. 80% of my friends that I talk to about metadata, who are music supervisors or decision makers, if we open up an MP3 and we don't see metadata inside of it that tells us about it and how we can pay someone and how to get in touch with them, a lot of the time we don't even listen to the music, because we look at this and we're like, this is excuse my language, this is a shit show I don't want to get involved in. And I'm going to move on to the next song. And that song from a stylistic and feeling point of view could be the perfect song. But if we feel like we can't clear it or we can't deal with you, we're going to move on to the next thing because we have to, because it's a business. And that goes back to what we said at the beginning. It's a business. And as a business, we have to balance the creative with the business needs.
I was just muting my mic to clear my throat because you were talking. Hold on.
No worries.
There, I got you. All that's, and then I'm listening to all this, and then we'll talk about this later, but I'm panicking that I didn't submit my stuff to you properly, but I think that I did because how I gave it to you on that website has really good metadata.
No, I saw it. I saw it. I mean, there's a couple of little things that I would tweak, but it's there.
Okay, good. Well, we'll talk about that later.
It's there. You've done a good job.
God, no, I wasn't looking for praise. I just always want to, because I do know about relationships and organization, I always want to make sure that I do things correctly. And you said something earlier about, which was, I've submitted to people before, and they've asked for MP3s, and all my stuff is waves. So why is MP3 bad? That I know why it is, but I don't know why they're asking for MP3s. But like, explain that a little bit.
I'll tell you why we ask for MP3s. There's two reasons, and you really should send out your music to us, not to me, because you and I are, we got our own thing going on.
We got our own thing going on.
Yeah, but if you're sending it out to somebody for the first time, you have got to send out MP3s.
Okay.
And one of the reasons why is because, first of all, if you send us waves do not include metadata. So if you send me a wave, it doesn't have metadata embedded in it. MP3s do. So that's one thing. Now we have another type of file called an AIFF file, which is a high resolution file. Mm-hmm. Those files have metadata. But I'll give you another reason or two reasons why you shouldn't send us wave files. The first thing is wave files are big. Wave files are going to be somewhere between 30 and 100 megabytes per file. That adds up. It adds up in terms of download time. And also when we're sharing them, whether it's with the post-production editors or whether it's with a showrunner, a director, or somebody at the brand, we're not going to want to send them like a 1 gig link or a 1 gig file. We don't need to do that at this time. What we need to do is we need to be able to, first of all, see your metadata, which an MP3 allows, and second, be able to share the music quickly, because we're not going to be putting your music into the production at this point. We're going to be evaluating it for the first thing when you send it to us. And if it resonates, what's going to happen as a music supervisor, I'm going to go, wow, this is really good. Let me put it in a playlist that I'm going to put together of about 20 songs. And then what will happen after that is that I'll put together this playlist. And then the next step is going to be, I'm going to talk to my other decision makers on the team. I'm going to talk to the editor. I'm going to talk to the creative director. I'm using an ad as an example. I'm going to talk to maybe the brand person. I'm going to talk to the copywriter. And I'm going to say, okay, so based on everything that we've talked about and what I've seen, these are the choices that we have to look at. These are the choices that work in terms of style, in terms of budget, in terms of feeling. And here's why. And being able to put together that list and have that list as something that for 20 songs is going to be 200 megabytes instead of 2 gigabytes as a download. Well, that saves everybody time. It creates efficiencies that we need, and it reduces friction. And that's really important to us when we're in the production environment. With that said, if we really like a song and we go to the next step and we say, okay, artist or okay, label, we want to license this song. This is the deal that we want to do. We'll send you out not an agreement yet, but we'll send you out a term sheet, which we'll give you the basics of what the deal is. You sign that. Then that's the time that you send us what we call the lossless file, the WAV file, the AIFF file, because at that point, we're going to need the full fidelity of the sound. And the MP3s aren't going to give us the full fidelity. So we need to have the WAV file then, not before. So these little things you don't think about. But for us, when we look at how we do business and the flow of it, there's an order of things that helps us reduce the time that we spend working on taking a piece of music from discovery to usage. And that's why MP3s are very important to us.
Okay. You had said earlier, though, don't send an MP3, but that's because of the order that we were talking about.
No. Send an MP3 in the beginning.
In the beginning.
Yes.
Got it.
No, you only send a WAV file. Don't send a WAV file until you're at the point that you've got a deal or it looks like you have a deal.
So are these details some of the things, like, what are some of, because I want to title this podcast like everything you need to know to get your songs on TV and in the movies. What are some
you need to know to position yourself? I cannot guarantee that anybody can get anything in any media.
A title is a title, Mark. We got to get people to listen.
Fine, but I'm just saying, it's like there are way too many hucksters that are out there saying, oh, this is happening with Sync. Sync is blowing up. Sync is amazing. Sync is going to get you paid. Maybe. Okay. As somebody who actually works in it, maybe. I can't guarantee you shit.
Oh,
okay?
well, nothing's guaranteed. Anybody that thinks there's a guarantee.
A lot of people are out there saying that it is, but I can give you the building blocks. I can give you the information that you need and the connections so that you can present yourself in the right way. And you can make the connections that can lead to success in this business. All right. So anyway, I just always like to say that because it's important. There are a lot of things, though, that you can do that can position yourself so that over time you will be successful in this industry. And metadata is part of that. The other thing is you just have to get your music out there. You have to get your music out there. You have to get it out in the right way. I would say, you use a system like DISCO, which is our industry standard for sharing music. And that's DISCO, DISCO.ac. If anybody's never heard of it, you should check it out. And it's what we use to share music. It has a lot of interesting tools that you can that can help you. But basically, what you need to do is you need to think about how do you market your music to music supervisors and decision makers. How do you get people like myself and other sync agents or custom music houses to work with you to connect your music to the industry? And sync agents and custom music houses are not going to do your metadata. You got to do that yourself. But what they can do is they can help you to grow your network. You can grow your network organically, and you should. But at the same time, you should work with people that are already trusted resources in the industry. So connecting with custom music houses, connecting with sync agencies is very important for everybody that works in this industry, because it will help you to expand the potential chances for your music to be heard by decision makers and to be used by decision makers. And all of that will help you over time to be successful in this industry. Because, honestly, Goldy, the way that it works is that we have a lot more supply than demand, right? We just do in sync. There's a lot of people trying to get their music into projects. Who are the people that win? Who are the people that really succeed? Okay. Well, first of all, your music's got to be good. Okay. That's number one. Number two, you've got to make sure you've got all of this data stuff that I talked about correct. Number three, you've got to be politely persuasive to the people that you meet and be kind to them and treat them like human beings. Research them, not in a creepy way, but research them. Research their social media.
Thanks for putting that out there.
Well, no, it's important because it's like sometimes we feel like people get a little creepy when they start getting a little too personal. All of us do. So I'm just saying, check out what they do professionally. Check out what they do. Maybe, not say, oh, wow, I was just hiking 5 blocks away from your place. Maybe you don't want to go that far. But, get an idea of who they are. Check them out on social media. Check out their IMDb. If they work in advertising and branding, they don't have an IMDb, but do a Google search, check them out on LinkedIn, um, and just try to make contact. Research them, see if they have a website, see if they have an email address that you can find. And I'm going to give all of you right now a big resource that you can check out that will really help you. There is something that I use that I tell all of my students about called ContactOut, and it's contactout.com. ContactOut.com. ContactOut.com, when you combine it with LinkedIn, allows you to get emails of people from their LinkedIn accounts, even if you're not connected to them.
Even if you're not LinkedIn Premium at $50 a month?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Look, ContactOut costs $100 a month, so I will say that. But it's
Okay.
the best $100 that I spend.
Okay.
Because if I can get in touch with just one person that I want to connect with, who's important, and I get their email address through it, then I win. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to use ContactOut because that's something we do in our courses, but you can figure it out for yourself. If you don't want to take our courses, that's fine. You can still go ahead and use it, but you can find out information on the internet about almost anyone, and not just their contact information, but who they are, what's important to them, what projects do they work on. And the reason I'm giving you like this whole big monologue about this is that once you get this information, you've got to present yourself as an authentic person who knows about what they do and who they are, and treat them like human beings. Because I feel like I know this actually, Goldy, is that a lot of the time people see us as inboxes and not as human beings. And they're just like sending us the exact same email every single time, not knowing who we are or what we work on. And as a result, you turn a lot of people off by doing that. You know, if you do a little bit of research, a little bit of thought, like, hey, oh, wow, so this guy, he was a chief creative officer at the agency AKQA. But before that, he was actually a musician. And he was working as a musician who was doing gigs in his native city of Rio de Janeiro. And he went from that to creating music, and then he joined the firm. You can find out all of this about the person I'm bringing up as an example within 5 minutes. And then what do you do with that information? Well, instead of throwing the same email that you throw at 50 other people, you can say, hey, I'm not going to use the name of the person that I brought up in my mind, but like,
don't
hey,
get creepy, Mark.
I'll make up a name. Hey, Raphael, it's so good to have the chance to connect with you. And I really appreciate the work that you've done, and from the beginning of your career until now as the Chief Creative Officer at AKQA. In hopes of helping you, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is blah, blah, blah. I do this. I'm an artist. Here's a link to my music if you have the time to listen. I'd love to have the chance to help you out in any of your projects if given the opportunity. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a great day, rest of the week, weekend, whatever it is. That's it. How much better is it to do that than to just send an email that says, hi, I'm an artist. I make music. Here's a link to my music. I would love my music to be in your projects. Thank you.
Douchebag.
It's just like, Goldy, I mean, it's like, look.
I get it, Mark.
One of the first books that was given to me in my career was Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends
and Influence People. Yes.
And my boss was like, Mark, I'm giving you this book. And it was like, he gave me like some 1950s edition, literally. And it was like, it was a cool edition of it. But he was like, Mark, you need to read this once a year because it will help you in the way that you speak to people and how you orient yourself. And I just take the approach that Dale Carnegie did, which is know who it is that you're getting in touch with and what's important to them, and then lead off with that. Because if you tell me all about what your needs are when you start off, my eyes are going to go glassy. But if you talk to me about me, I'm going to be lured in And then once you've got my attention, then you can go, oh, by the way, this is who I am and this is what I'm about. And then I'll go, okay, person who gave me a compliment, click, I'm going to check you out. And that's one of the things that you have to do. The other thing you have to do is you have to go out. You have to go out to events, whether they're online or in person. You have to get yourself known, and you have to get to know who people are. And
Let's talk about the Sync Summit. Wouldn't that be a good place for people?
Yeah, absolutely, Goldy. I mean, so like one of the things that I try to do when I created the Sync Summit, and I haven't gotten into the backstory or anything because I wanted to talk about now and what's applicable to people. But basically, I came from a venture capital firm 12 years ago. I come from like a technology and entertainment background. And you can look up my LinkedIn if you want to see the history. It's pretty impressive. But anyway, moving on. I was working with a venture capital firm, helping to manage the marketing for a variety of the companies that they were investing in. And after doing that for a little over 2 years, I thought, I want to do something different. I want to go back into music because I've always gone between, like, music's always been a passion for me. I'm a musician and a singer. And, I've got a lot of friends who are musicians. Some of them are very famous. Some of them aren't. But the one common denominator that I found with my friends that they would always bitch to me about was, Mark, I'm not making money from that sync. I'm not making money from that ringtone. I'm not making money from that because I signed my rights away to my label / publisher / whatever. And then that was for famous artists. And for artists that weren't famous, they were stuck in this new paradigm of an industry where they were like, how do I get anything? Like streaming services don't pay. People are pirating music. It's just a mess. Like, what can I do to make money?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself, well, I want to help my friends to make money and, make some money myself.
Make some money yourself.
And my first thought was, okay, so where's the money? And then a friend of mine, who's been a friend of mine for a long time, and I will mention his name, Matthew Knowles, he's been a friend of mine for like 23 years. He and I will talk to each other maybe once every 1 to 3 months. And for those of you that don't know who Matthew is, he's Beyonce and Solange's dad and was Destiny's Child's manager. And before that, he was the #1 salesperson for Philips of medical imaging equipment. So, he's not just like a dad manager. He actually is very smart. And he and I had this conversation. I want to say in 2006 or 2007. I'm like, Matthew, what's going on? He's like, well, let me tell you something. I've got something really cool going on, Mark. We've got this deal that we're doing with L'Oreal. And Beyonce's going to be in the commercials. And Solange is going to be in the commercials. And I was like, wow, this could be a really nice payday. And he's like, Mark, no, you don't get it. It's sure, we're going to make money from the commercials. But the real payday here is that they're going to be using their music in the background, which is a promotion for the music.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to be putting out their albums as the advertising campaign goes worldwide. So because of that, we've taken Sony's budget, which was, I don't know, 30 million, 20 million, whatever it was, and elevated it to a budget beyond $1 billion worldwide to market the artists and their tours and their albums that are going on all in the same time frame. Wow. And I was just like, oh my God, this is the future. This is the future. Like I said to him, like, this is the future. And it was in the back of my mind while I was at this VC, and I thought, okay, it's time for me to leave this like crazy world here. I want to go and do something where I can help to realize this vision for artists, where they can say, hey, I'm going to get my music in a commercial. I'm going to get my music aligned with a brand. I'm going to get my music in a film or a TV show. And by doing that, yeah, I'm going to make money on the sync, or I'm going to make money on creating the music. But I'm also going to get my music promoted, because in this world, there's very few ways to get your music out to a massive market in the way that a commercial can, or a way that a film can. And that was the vision that made me start this business. That was why I started this. And what I wanted to do originally is I wanted to be a sync agent. I didn't know it, but I wanted to be a sync agent. So I started a sync agency. I started working with people. And then I thought, hey, why don't we do a little get together and get some people around the table to talk about where the industry's going? And that was where Sync Summit began. But then I saw a need for people to be educated as well as to network. So now we're back at Sync Summit. But I wanted to give you that little story because I think it's important for people to understand where my thought process was in creating Sync Summit.
When is the next Sync Summit?
Well, going on. The next advertising one is in New York on October 6th and 7th, and we're doing it during the same week as Advertising Week. So there's like 35,000 advertising people in New York that week going to the bigger event. But we're doing our event on the 6th and the 7th of October. And then we have our Los Angeles event, which is, I would say, as opposed to New York, which is more brand and advertising centric, our Los Angeles event is taking place on February 4th during Grammy Week. And that event brings together everybody from the industry, all the music supervisors, all the artists, all the label people, everybody who works in the industry, to get them together to network. So those are our two events that are coming up.
When is that?
And
when is the LA?
when's
the LA one?
LA is on February 4th. And then we also have classes that are coming up. We have one class beginning at the end of June that's oriented solely towards brands and advertising. And I teach that with a guy named Joshua Rabinowitz. Josh used to run the music department at Gray Advertising, and before that, he ran the music department at Young and Rubicam. So he really knows what he's doing.
This is just so interesting, and I'm even thinking about coming. That's amazing. So keep going.
You should definitely come, especially the ad one. No, they're both great. I'm just very partial to the ad one because I do work in ads, but we do a lot more than just the Sync Summits. We also do online listening sessions where we will feature a music supervisor or another decision maker alongside me, and we'll listen to people's music online, and then we'll give feedback on it. We'll share live briefs, and we'll give you a video archive of the listening session at the end. So that's another thing we do.
So
the courses, which is where I left off, we have the Advertising and Brands course, which is 9 intensive weeks of everything about how the advertising industry works with music, which is
wow.
It's pretty complicated, to be honest, but Josh and I, we know what we're talking about, and we do and it's a fun course, and you'll come out of it knowing how to work with the ad industry, which is honestly very different than working with the rest of media. And then we have another course, which is our Sync course, and that begins in July. And that course teaches you about, in a more general way, how all of the areas of the industry work, and it includes listening sessions. So there's opportunities to connect with people, and there's opportunities to learn the basic building blocks of what we've been talking about today. The third thing is we do this membership where basically you get all of this stuff for an entire year, and you get a monthly 30-minute consult with me so that we can go through everything that you want to talk about. In addition to that, I give you my mobile number and please don't abuse it, but I give you my mobile number and I give you my email address if you have any questions or anything that you want to talk about or anything that comes up. And an example I can give you is like one of my students, he was sent an agreement which I looked at and I was like, somebody's, not sending you this in good faith. But, he sent me an agreement. He's like, Mark, what do you think of the terms of this? And I was like, well, they're not really doing this in good faith. You should go back to them and ask for this. So I'll do little things like that. on an ad hoc basis as part of what we do in the membership. So basically, I'm kind of like your concierge, taking you through a year of this industry and helping you to know who are the places, who are the people and the places that you should go to, and helping you to, present yourself in the best way. So that's what we do.
This has just been amazing. I was only expecting a half an hour, so I appreciate you giving us so much time in your day and just education and knowledge.
I'm happy to.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
this is great. A lot of people will find a ton of value in this, but we want to drive it home that you want to check out this membership that's at the ticker at the bottom. It's going to answer a lot of questions for you. It's going to give you a lot of resources. It's going to help you with your education, and in a non-creepy way, you get access to Mark.
And I really hope that you guys take advantage of some of the things that we're doing. And even if you don't want to sign up for any of our stuff, which I hope you do, our website has a lot of free information that's really good for you to know. So if you can't afford it or you don't want to pay for it, then we still have some stuff that can help you.
And I don't think it's people don't want to pay for it. I think these days we just have to prioritize what we're spending our money on. Like when you were telling me about, a certain platform and you mentioned it during the pod, it's like I said I'm with this one just because sometimes we get subbed out on subscriptions and there's just so many. So you just have to figure out, maybe there's some lattes or some drinks or treats that I can give up or cut out or change or swap with the valuable knowledge that you have to offer with this. I was looking through at the prices for the actual Sync Summit. I'll have to check that out. We'll talk about that off air also. If you had to give people just, I've got a couple friends that are really, really trying their asses off in this industry. What's just some closing notes and just some golden nuggets, some advice that you've learned with all of your time in this business? Just some closing thought that can be encouraging and help people.
Well, I think the thing that you have to do is just believe in yourself at the end of the day. Because a lot of people are going to tell you that, oh, I don't like this music, or I don't like your voice, or I don't like this or that, or we've got so much of this. Like, honestly, the heck with all of that. I'm not using the expletive I would use because, at the end of the day, I'll give you my own experience. I had one of my best friends as a music supervisor, somebody who I respect greatly, go to me when I brought them to see an artist and a songwriter that I really truly believe in, somebody who actually has a lot of talent and has had a lot of success in production.
Okay.
And when I brought this person to see them play live, they were like, Mark, I mean, he's good, but we've just got so much stuff like this. I mean, it's just all over the place. And I was just initially I was kind of crestfallen. I was like, no, that's a horrible thing for you to say. I mean, God, there's got to be a place for this guy's stuff. So I didn't give up. And it took me 10 years.
What?
But yeah, for this particular artist, it took me 10 years. But when the music did hit, it was a 7-figure deal.
Jeez.
So keep the faith. That's the most important thing I'm going to tell you. Keep the faith in yourself. And beyond that, just do the work, or, just do the work. And I'm talking about doing the creative work, of course, but you're in a great place in this world right now because 10 years ago, 12 years ago, there was no information out there and really no tools to help you to connect to people and to learn about how this industry works. Do the work. Find people to help you, whether it's me, whether it's somebody else, whether it's a sync agent, it doesn't matter. And go out there and get your music out to the world. Don't be afraid to make connections. Don't, take the time to figure out where there are online or in-person events, mine or others, and just get yourself out there. So those are the 3 things. Believe in yourself, do the homework, and get yourself out there.
Absolute golden nuggets. We want to thank everybody for almost an hour of your time today. Goldy's Closet. Episode 250. What is it? 257 already? Wow, we're cruising.
Wow.
We're cruising. That's really great. Years. That's a lot of years of podcasting. Mark Freezer, everybody. That's how you say it, right?
Freezer.
I've heard it.
Yes.
Freezer. Yeah, like a freezer. I've heard it said differently online, so I always want to make sure.
It's okay. People mess up the name quite a bit. It's a name that, you know, people pronounce correctly if they're from the Netherlands, Austria, or Germany. It's one of those names. It's a Northern European name. So, you know, I'm proud of it. But it said anything from Fraser to Friser to Freezer. But Freezer is the correct name. Thank you.
We'll take it. Thank you so much for your time. We're going to end this one and close. And we actually do wave like that and we clap at the end. And I always say, stay safe out there, but be free and always stay golden. And then we clap.
Bye. Yay! Thank you, everybody.
What's up, everyone? It's Goldy, Impact Wrestling, TLC's Cheapskates. Ted Nugent's running wild from him somewhere in the woods. And maybe you've seen our band, Goldilocks Band. We're out there, we're on tour, but now we're connecting on Cameo. So I want to tell you that I am here to be your humble servant. And that's whatever you need said for you, for a friend, a shout out, a golden shout out, you name it, here and on it. Now, just reminding you, keep it classy, keep it cool, and keep it above the belt. But I want to offer you something a little bit different. Just remember, if I'm not on the road and I've got access to these next beauties, we can always have da-da-da-dum. I want to make this the most amazing experience for you ever because you deserve it. Your friends deserve it. Your loved ones deserve it. And just remember, I can sing you a few lines of a song. It can be from anywhere, like it can be from somewhere over the rainbow, or it could be near, far, wherever you are. It could even be on a highway to hell. It can even be from there. Oh, and keep in mind, not all requests are the same. Maybe your motivation comes with a harder edge. Maybe you need a more jagged little pill. There's nothing that I love more than playing the heel. So if you need your message delivered with more, what's the word I'm looking for? Intention? Please specify. Can't wait to connect with you on Cameo. Thanks so much for being here. Stay golden.